Welcome to the Online Digital Marketing Podcast. We'll be discussing marketing strategies, trends, and tips that will help your business succeed in the digital age. Every episode, we'll be interviewing industry professionals and providing valuable insights on how to leverage digital tools for maximum engagement and ROI. Don't forget to subscribe so you can stay up to date on the latest trends in online marketing.
What if the secret to doubling a company's sales wasn't actually talking about how incredibly great that company is?
Right, like the exact opposite.
Yeah, like instead, openly publishing a list of your biggest flaws and, get this, directly linking to your local competitors.
I mean, it sounds completely backwards when you first hear it.
Totally backwards. But today we are looking at a stack of sources detailing why this kind of radical, uncomfortable honesty is becoming the absolute new gold standard for consumer trust.
It really is.
So welcome in. Today's deep dive is focused on a business strategy called They Ask You Answer, which is often abbreviated as TAYA.
Yeah, it's a fascinating framework. Originally pioneered by Marcus Sheridan, our notes today specifically examine how this TAYA philosophy is completely disrupting the local home services industry.
We're talking HVAC techs, plumbers, roofers.
Exactly. The businesses that keep our literal roofs over our heads. Our mission today is to explore how these companies are using brutal transparency to just, bypass traditional marketing fluff.
And shorten their sales cycles, right?
Yeah. And build massive trust with a really highly skeptical public.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because to truly grasp why this counterintuitive solution works so well, we have to look closely at the modern consumer.
Which is everyone.
Right. You, me, the listener. The way we buy things today is fundamentally different than it was even, 10 years ago?
Oh, easily. The old way of selling a new roof or an AC unit is totally irreparably broken.
So why is it broken?
Well, the primary reason is that businesses have largely failed to adapt to the reality of the modern buyer's journey. Historically, the flow of information was a one-way street.
Like the Yellow Pages.
Exactly. A homeowner had a leaky pipe. They looked at a billboard or a phone book they called a vendor, and the vendor held all the cards.
They had all the power.
Right. The vendor dictated the price, the timeline, the solution. But that dynamic is dead.
It has completely flipped. I mean, think about the last time you, the listener, had a major repair pop up. A mysterious puddle spreading out from under your water heater.
You panic for a second.
Yeah, you panic. But you don't just blindly pick up the phone anymore. You instantly morph into this, amateur detective.
Oh, for sure. You're on Google at 2 a.m.
searching water heater leaking from bottom. You scour your local Facebook groups or Nextdoor to see who your neighbors used, and if they felt ripped off.
You're watching 3 different YouTube tutorials to see if it's just a pressure valve you can tighten yourself.
Exactly. You might even ask an AI tool what a fair replacement price is for a 50-gallon tank in your specific zip code.
You are doing a massive amount of investigative homework before a business even knows you exist.
If we connect this to the bigger picture.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, the implication of all that independent research is that the buyer's tolerance for traditional marketing speak has dropped to absolute zero.
It really has. By the time you, the homeowner, actually land on a local plumber's website, you are already swimming in technical data and pricing anxieties.
You've got 10 tabs open.
Right. So if that website greets you with generic phrases like family-owned since 1985 or high-quality craftsmanship,
or best service in town.
Ugh, yes. Your brain simply filters it out. It's just white noise.
I'd say it's worse than white noise. It's practically a red flag.
How so?
It tells the detective, the buyer, that this company isn't going to give them the hard data they are actually looking for. It just makes the website look like a useless digital brochure.
Precisely. Generic copy doesn't build trust because it doesn't answer a single intent-driven question.
Right.
And the core philosophy of the ask you answer approach forces a business to recognize this shift. A company has to completely stop acting like a vendor pushing a service.
And do what instead?
Fully commit to being the most helpful, unbiased teacher in their local market. You achieve that by answering the real, often difficult questions buyers are asking.
Okay, so if generic copy is invisible and buyers are actively hunting for data, what exact information are they searching for that traditional businesses are just, failing to provide?
Well, our sources highlight that the specific topics buyers crave happen to be the exact things most businesses are terrified to talk about.
Terrified. Wow.
Yeah. The framework categorizes these as the Big Five.
The Big Five. Let's get into this.
These 5 categories dictate the vast majority of consumer research. They're the content pillars that actually drive revenue because they address the buyer's deepest anxieties.
But businesses avoid them.
Universally. Because addressing them requires a level of vulnerability that just feels really unnatural in a corporate setting.
Well, let's break these down and look at the mechanics of why they work. Number 1 on the Big Five list is cost and pricing.
Always number 1.
Yeah, people want the actual numbers. They want price ranges. They want to know what causes those costs to fluctuate. And they want to understand why a price might go up or down.
Right. Instead of a website just saying, call us today for a free estimate, which everyone hates.
I despise it.
Tell you why businesses are publishing comprehensive guides like, how much does a new central AC system cost in Chicago?
And the psychology here is critical, right?
Absolutely. When a consumer is researching a major purchase and they cannot find a price on your website, they do not think, oh, I should call them to find out.
No, they think they're hiding something.
Or, if I have to ask, I probably can't afford it. By putting the numbers out there, even if it's just a realistic range, you immediately establish a baseline of trust.
You're like commoditizing the secret of your pricing.
Exactly. Which elevates your value as an honest broker.
I see the logic, I really do. But doesn't posting your prices just trigger a race to the bottom? I mean, if I'm a premium roofer and my competitor down the street is cheaper.
Yeah, aren't you just giving the buyer a reason to click away?
Exactly.
That assumes the buyer only cares about the lowest number, which data shows is rarely true for major home investments. Buyers want value and predictability.
Okay, that makes sense.
If your pricing guide explains why your roofs cost $5,000 more, maybe because you use a specific underlayment that prevents ice dams, or you offer a lifetime labor warranty, you are educating them on the variables.
You're setting the buying criteria for the entire market. You're teaching them how to buy the thing rather than just telling them what it costs.
Bingo. But price is just the first hurdle. Once they know what it costs, they start looking for what could go wrong.
Which brings us to number 2 on the list. Problems.
Yes.
This involves openly discussing the limitations of your product or service, what can break, and even detailing scenarios where a simple repair is actually better for the customer than a full replacement.
This is where the radical honesty truly kicks in. It is about actively addressing the elephant in the room.
Wait a second. I have to push back here.
Go for it.
You're saying a business should write an article about why a customer might not want to hire them, or actively tell a homeowner to spend less money.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
If I am a business owner with a payroll to meet, advertising my flaws feels like business suicide.
Well, this raises an important question. Who is actually in control of the conversation?
What do you mean?
In the digital age, if a buyer is researching you or your product, they're going to find the flaws, the negative reviews, and the limitations eventually. The internet guarantees it.
Oh, right. They'll find it on Reddit or something.
Exactly. Would you rather they find that negative information from a disgruntled customer on a forum, or would you rather be the one to tell them?
You want to own the narrative.
You have to own the narrative. When you acknowledge your own bad fits and limitations, you disarm the buyer's natural defense mechanisms.
The brain stops categorizing you as a biased salesperson.
And starts viewing you as an objective consultant. When you admit who you are not a good fit for, the right fit customers will trust you infinitely more.
Wow.
They will actively seek you out because you've proven you care more about the right solution than just making a quick buck.
You're removing the friction of suspicion. That's powerful. Okay, moving on to number 3 of the Big Five. Comparisons or versus content.
The classic head-to-head.
Yeah, this is helping buyers weigh their options objectively. Things like tank versus tankless water heaters or heat pump versus gas furnace. You give them the pros, cons, and costs of both sides.
It feeds directly into that investigative mindset. Buyers are constantly comparing options. If you are the platform providing that objective comparison, you keep them on your website.
You become the source of truth.
Exactly.
Which bleeds perfectly into number 4. And this is perhaps the most terrifying one for a traditional business owner.
Oh, people hate this one.
Reviews and best lists. This means highlighting the top local providers in your market, including your direct competitors.
Yes.
So an HVAC company might write an article titled Best HVAC Companies in Our City and literally list the other companies down the street.
It is incredibly difficult for business owners to swallow this. The instinct is to just pretend competitors don't exist.
I can just imagine a business owner sweating over the keyboard, trying to type out their biggest rival's name. I mean, why on earth would you give them free press?
Because of search intent.
Yeah.
The modern buyer is already going to Google and typing best HVAC near me. If you refuse to write that article, the buyer is going to click on a Yelp page or an Angie's List directory or a competitor's site. You have zero control over those platforms.
Oh, I see.
But if you write the article and you objectively explain who each competitor is a good fit for, you capture that web traffic. You become the ultimate authority by being the one confident enough to grade the competition.
It's the ultimate power move. You're basically saying, we are so confident in what we do, we will happily tell you who else is good at this.
Exactly. And finally, number 5 is best practices.
Right. Explaining the optimal way or the best time to do things.
For example, an article on the best time of year to replace your roof. It shows you are invested in the customer's long-term outcome.
So all 5 of these topics share the same underlying DNA, right? They prioritize the buyer's need for education over the company's need for promotion.
That's the perfect way to put it.
So producing brutally honest content builds web traffic and positions a company as an expert. But how does reading an article on the internet actually change the physical in-person dynamic?
What do you mean?
Like, when the plumber is actually standing in your kitchen, how is this strategy altering that interaction? Our sources detail a transition here from marketing strategy to direct sales application.
Yeah, the transition relies on a strategy called assignment selling.
Assignment selling.
It's the practice of purposefully sending this highly specific educational content to prospects before the initial sales appointment. You are quite literally assigning them homework.
Our sources highlight a specific tool for this called the 80% video. This is a 7 to 10 minute video that answers the top questions that naturally arise in 80% of sales calls.
Process, baseline costs, warranties, fit.
Exactly. The company requires you, the buyer, to watch this before the technician ever arrives at your house.
Consider how wildly inefficient a traditional sales visit is.
Oh, it's painful.
A technician drives out to a home, sits at the kitchen table, and spends the first 45 minutes answering the exact same basic questions about materials and timelines they've answered 1,000 times before.
And then at the very end, they drop a massive price tag on the table and just hope the customer doesn't flinch.
It's a terrible system.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Imagine applying assignment selling to a completely different field, like medicine.
Oh, that's a great comparison.
It would be like a surgeon sending you a personalized 10-minute video explaining a complex knee procedure, the exact recovery time, the potential risks, and the out-of-pocket costs before you even step foot in the clinic.
Right, for the consultation.
By the time you sit down with the doctor, you aren't asking basic questions like, does this hurt? You are asking highly specific questions about your own unique joint structure.
That analogy captures the efficiency perfectly. For the home services buyer, this pre-education achieves several psychological breakthroughs.
Like what?
First, it completely eliminates what the sources call stranger danger.
Because they've seen them on video.
Exactly. By featuring the actual technicians on camera, walking through the process in the video, the business is humanized. The homeowner knows exactly who is going to be knocking on their door.
That's huge for peace of mind.
And second, it drastically reduces price shock.
Because the homeowner has already digested the pricing guide on their own time, right? Without a salesperson breathing down their neck.
Exactly that. If a prospect watches the 80% video, reads the pricing guide, and still keeps the appointment, they are fundamentally comfortable with the ballpark numbers.
The financial anxiety is largely gone.
The in-person visit is no longer a generic, repetitive presentation. It focuses entirely on the unique, specific needs of that homeowner's property.
It completely transforms the salesperson from an adversary trying to extract money into a trusted consultant trying to solve a puzzle alongside the homeowner.
It's a total paradigm shift.
It sounds utopian. But a strategy is just a theory until it hits the real world. I'm putting myself in the shoes of a local plumbing or roofing company.
Okay.
They have trucks rolling, emergencies happening, parts to order, and technicians who are exhausted. How does a blue-collar business actually pull this off without hiring a massive, expensive marketing agency?
That is the most practical component of the source material. It outlines a highly specific 90-day implementation blueprint.
90 days.
It is not just a marketing plan. It is a roadmap for completely overhauling the culture of a company. Days 1 through 30 are dedicated entirely to building the foundation.
And the very first task is not to buy expensive camera gear.
No, not at all. It is to build a question backlog.
Gathering 50 to 100 real customer questions directly from the front lines.
Yes. Not the questions the CEO thinks people are asking.
Right. The raw, unpolished questions, the receptionists, the sales reps, and the field techs are actually fielding every single day.
From that raw list, the company identifies 5 to 10 money questions. These are the questions tied directly to the biggest buying friction points: price, risk, and fit.
So in that first 30 days, the goal is simply to publish the first local pricing guide, an Are We a Fit article, and one objective comparison piece.
Keep it simple. Then moving into days 31 through 60, the blueprint shifts to integration.
This is where the company brings the content directly into the sales process.
They record that 80% video. And the sources stress it doesn't need Hollywood production value. It can be shot on a smartphone as long as it is authentic.
They build a landing page, and they begin using assignment selling for at least half of their new estimates.
Then, in days 61 through 90, the focus turns to measurement and scaling.
Okay, so tracking the data.
The company tracks organic web traffic, but the primary metric is the close rate. Are these educated appointments converting faster?
And the sources suggest scaling the content creation by having the field technicians themselves shoot raw 60 to 90-second videos directly from the job site.
Yes.
Hold on, you're talking about guys who spend their days in 120-degree attics wrestling with ductwork or dealing with raw sewage.
Yeah, the real gritty work.
Now they're supposed to be content creators for the company. How does a business owner mandate that without causing a full-scale mutiny among the staff?
Well, what's fascinating here is how the framework addresses that exact friction. It requires a profound cultural shift through the creation of a revenue team.
A revenue team.
Historically, in almost every traditional business, sales and marketing exist in total isolation. Marketing sits in an office making glossy brochures, sales talks to the actual humans, and they rarely share data.
And the technicians turning the wrenches out in the field are in a totally separate universe from both of them.
Exactly. The revenue team shatters those silos. It mandates a weekly or bi-weekly meeting where sales, field techs, and marketing all sit in the same room.
That sounds like a recipe for arguments.
It can be at first, but the field techs aren't just told to make videos. They are brought in to share the exact frustrating objections homeowners gave them that week.
Oh, I see.
Marketing then prioritizes answering those specific objections in the next batch of content. It validates the technicians' daily struggles and aligns the entire company around the single goal of being the ultimate teacher.
So when the techs see that the videos they shoot actually make their future jobs easier by educating the customer in advance, the resistance just melts away.
Precisely. They buy in.
So what does this all mean? If we zoom out from the HVC trucks and the roofing shingles, we're looking at a total inversion of how commerce is traditionally conducted.
A total inversion.
By embracing radical honesty, by willingly walking into the uncomfortable questions instead of running from them, and by turning a whole company of lench turners and, quote, writers into a unified team of teachers.
Businesses can attract better fit leads.
Yeah. Eliminate the time wasters and drastically shorten their sales cycles. They win simply by being the most transparent voice in a very noisy, skeptical room.
The transparency is the product. It is a brilliant, proven business strategy. But, as I was reviewing these sources and the psychology behind the Big Five, I couldn't help but notice something.
What's that?
How these principles could apply far beyond selling home services.
Where are you going with this?
Think about the core mechanism. Radical honesty, owning your flaws up front, and addressing the uncomfortable variables before they are even brought up. How might that completely alter your personal life? What if you applied the Big Five to your next major job interview?
Oh, wow.
Imagine sitting down across from a hiring manager and being the first one to bring up your own professional limitations. Or clearly articulating the exact type of corporate culture you are not a good fit for.
That takes guts. What about salary negotiation? What if you laid out your exact pricing parameters, the variables that change them, and your market comparisons completely transparently on day one?
Right.
Wait, what about applying it to a first date?
A first date.
Yeah, imagine sitting down for coffee and leading with your own personal Big Five. Here are my pros, my cons, the specific scenarios where I am a terrible fit, and a brutally honest review of my past relationship communication styles.
I mean, it sounds absurd in a social context, but it proves the power of the concept.
It really does.
What would happen if you were always the first person to bring up the uncomfortable truths before the other side even had to ask? In business, it creates unshakable consumer trust.
And in life, it might just be the ultimate filter for finding exactly what and who is actually right for you.
Absolutely.
That is something to sit with. It brings us right back to that homeowner staring at the leaking water heater. We don't want the generic, comforting lie anymore.
We really don't.
The digital age has made us all investigators, wading through the murky waters of information overload, just looking for someone, a plumber, an employer, a partner, who is brave enough to turn on the lights and just be radically honest about what we are looking at.
Beautifully said.
That's it for today's deep dive. We will catch you next time.
Ready to take your online business to the next level? Subscribe to our digital marketing podcast and then join our Accountability for Success Mastermind. With expert advice from industry leaders, you'll gain knowledge and insights that will help you succeed in today's digital marketing world. From social media strategies to search engine optimization, we have all the tools you need. Learn from successful entrepreneurs and take control of your online success. Join the Accountability for Success Mastermind now at bit.ly/AFSM podcast.